Tron. We see Tron piece, map, second Tron piece. Solid start for Tron.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We are going to jump over. I think this is Andrew Elenbogen's matches. That's the KCI match. So that's a match of can Ironworks beat a turn 3 Tron, which actually of all the decks to beat turn 3 Tron, Andrew has the best odds.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have Mox Opals in your deck, who cares if they take out a land?
Right. Not only you can race a Karn, you can survive a Karn activation. If they plus it, you're fine.
Yeah. You're like, you know what? If you restart the game, I'll even let you have an Ichor Wellspring in play.
Oh, wow.
It undoes a mulligan.
So let's see here on Kyle Kostecka versus Kyle Boggemes how this one's going to play out, whether or not all of them are going to have that turn 3 Tron. He starts on Tower and Chromatic Star.
Yeah, that's kind of the start to just get those green search for land things on the table, your Sylvan Scrying and your Ancient Stirrings.
Star is going to go ahead and make green mana here, most likely for Kostecka. And a pretty aggressive start for Boggemes. We have Mausoleum Wanderer into Supreme Phantom.
Boggemes is definitely an attacking type Magic player.
Oh, man. This is actually a bit out of his range. Normally he's
Oh, yeah. Well, he's played a good bit of the creature decks. He played a lot of Bant Company when it was in Standard.
To have to deny that turn 3 Tron. It was a turn 2 Sylvan Scrying off 2 Tron pieces for Kostecka. So, yes, their team just has turn 3 Tron. But Wanderers puts a stop to it.
Wanderer is nice. Big fan of that card. We saw Spiketail, Hatchling, and Curse Catcher have both been playable, and this is just better.
So, actually, having worked some with Kyle Boggemes, you're right. As a player, he is a all-good-cards style player through and through. So, his Pro Tour runner-up was with Cascade Jund. He was one of the innovators of the Starfield of Nyx deck at the Pro Tour, if you remember that. In a lot of ways, he does like control decks, but he kind of likes them in the same way that a Brian Bronduin likes control decks, where they take this 3-color deck and then just, fill it with 10 tap-out threat cards.
Right. You're like, no. My cards are more powerful. You'll play some, I'll play some, and mine are better.
That Mythic Rare symbol was a nice thing because then it told him which cards to play.
Hey, Broodmate Dragons are rare. You're welcome.
Oh, it is, yeah. The Cascade Jund, that was just a messed up deck.
Oh, yeah.
Drogskull Captain joins Supreme Phantoms. Kyle continues to keep the pressure on after denying Tron.
Really kind of just doing a Merfolk thing right now.
Every card's a lord?
Yeah.
Relica Progenitus and Sacrifice for Kostecka draws into a land. Is it that third Tron piece? It is a forest.
Having to crack a Relic does not feel good against Bant Spirits. Having to spend a turn on that, rather.
Ancient Stirrings off the forest. So I know we have the tower. Is that our third piece? I know that's a mine. The one under the tower.
That's a power plant, and that's a tower. So I believe
right, so we just did
it. Oh my. Real Tron monster. We have 2 black border, and then the mine is white border.
Oh, I love it.
At least make a match. I can get behind
what if my Tron pieces just don't match?
Why are you
I don't like the full set where they do all the arts. I just kind of pick the first 12 I find.
I like doing all different arts or all same art. I'm one of those where I like uniformity, and all of them being different is a form of that.
So if I play a mine and a second mine that matches it and a third mine that's different, you're just going to lose it?
Oh, I'm going to gag again. I'm normally an infect pilot, though, so pretty bold to assume you get that many land drops.
Yeah, something's already gone wrong. And the Merfolk deck continues to Merfolk. Another Lord with Supreme Phantom pumps the team. By Merfolk, of course, we mean Bant Spirits, but the effect's the same. Kostecka's going to drop down to 8, and it looks like he's 1 turn from lethal.
Yeah, this is what you need to be doing. You disrupt a single piece of Tron, and then you play Lords and attack and attack and attack and attack, and eventually you're done attacking because they are dead.
Look how little it set Kostecka back. Even then, he looks like we do have a
Worm Coil Engine.
Worm Coil Engine in the past. Does that fly? I don't think that works.
It smells dead. Smells dead on the table.
I don't think that's going to work out. Supreme Phantoms are both 3 power.
You're the math guy. What's 3 and 3 and 4?
Hey, you have enough fingers for that one. Just barely.
I'm holding all 10 up. I did it. Yeah. All right. Is 10 or 8 bigger?
Ooh, that's one of those inequality problems. Well, another Drogskull Captain was added, so that one's going to be good enough.
Very dead. Just kind of playing around Dismember a little bit, something to that effect.
Lords on every turn for Kyle Boggemes, and winning the die roll, that is going to be good enough against Tron. He takes game 1.
Trying to think. Nature's Claim, only thing that could have saved him there, I guess.
Did he have an artifact in play?
Worm Coil.
Okay, that works.
So, you know, playing around every little
Kyle's playing around the main deck Nature's Claim, yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah, and there's nothing to dismember for profit there.
Yeah, you just lose 4 life across the board.
1-0 for Kyle Boggemes. Teammate Max McVety, similar effect. He's on Hollow One against Tron, taking game 1. Still waiting for a result on that Ironworks versus Tron game where we were seeing natural Tron, but the longer this goes on, the more I think it's a good situation for Andrew.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Ironworks does not kill quickly, and Mono Green Tron, it doesn't kill fast, but it kills decidedly.
Yeah. When you win a game with Tron, there's not too much doubt about it.
Yeah, you're winning your game or you're losing your game, and those are the options. There's very little middle ground.
All right, looking at the sideboards here. On Kyle Kostecka's side, what's become pretty standard in mono green Tron decks is this mid-range plan where they have Thought-Knot Seers, Spatial Contortions, and Thrag Tusks. So a 4-drop, a 5-drop, and some early removal. Is this the type of matchup for some or all of that? For
the most part, you still just want to be trying to go over the top. Your cards are going to be a lot worse here, which sounds a little sacrilege, but against a go-wide creature deck, 7 mana, kill a creature, gain 3 life. It's just not very strong. But you do still want to be trying to go over the top with your Ugins, Worldbreaker blocks. Ulamog is obviously very powerful on his own. So you're kind of just still trying to go big rather than go in the middle. It's not like Thragtusk is blocking.
Right. Yeah, because none of them have flying, you're getting their enter the battlefield stats, but the actual power and toughness isn't really playing.
Yeah, you might decide that you want the Thragtusk over something like Worm Coil because you gain the life immediately and you don't have to block to kind of pad your life some like you did with the Worm Coil where we saw them cast it and just die there. But we're not really excited about it.
All right, a couple other questions here then. Grafdigger's Cage, Bant Spirits is a collected company deck. Now, it doesn't play against anything else, but that's a pretty impactful card.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what your plan is, and if you are specifically trying to take a lot of cards out, that's a way to shore up those collected companies. So I wouldn't hate bringing this single copy in, but it's not something you're trying to bring a ton of in, because if you draw 2 of them, you're kind of undoing the collected companies you were otherwise trying to negate. Yeah,
it's a powerful play. You don't want to be in a situation where you play Cage and your opponent simply never drew a company.
Exactly.
On Kyle Boggemes' sideboard here, Stony Silence and Rest in Peace as those big hate card enchantments, and then a lot of different interactive pieces. Right. All right. I actually like Stony Silence against Tron.
Love Stony Silence. Turns off Oblivion Stone and map on the play. Not so good on the draw, but we did see Kostecka have that turn 2 map that last game, and it would have shut that off.
Right, maps. On the play, it's great. On the draw, do you still bring it in?
You probably have to, because it turns off Oblivion Stone, and that's just one of the best ways to deal with these go-wide creature decks, so it shores up, and it's an answer to an answer.
All right, they're going to get ready for the second game. This is one of the last days of the Star City Games holiday sale. Starting in December, we added our lowest prices of, well, I guess we have to say of last year, but still true of this year. The year is young.
I agree. It's pretty easy to have the lowest prices of all 5-6 days of the year, but you know what?
We have them. They're right here.
We've done it.
The holiday sale ends tomorrow, so check out those last cards of the season. StarCityGames.com/holiday sale. That play draw on a card like Stony Silence is actually really interesting to me in this matchup. Because the cards you're getting are these 1-mana maps, stars, spheres, things like that.
Exactly. It's something that you kind of think about why you're sideboarding, and if you're making sacrifices to bring these sideboard cards in, if you're kind of weighing how good something is versus whether or not it actually has a text box, their efficacy goes down dramatically when you're on the draw. But if you have cards you specifically just don't want, like Reflector Mage, you can just bring it in, and that's going to be okay in that case.
All right, a big breath here. We did get our last game won, and it took that time because Andrew Elenbogen did beat turn 3 Tron.
Whew. It's nice. Got to pull out some dice, got to announce Pyrite Spellbombs, loops, the whole 9.
So a full sweep for the Ann Arbor team in the game 1s.
It's a strong squad. We already said it once, but seriously, this is a very good team.
For the Tron side, there are some matchups to like here, however. You know, the Hollow One and Bant Spirits matchups are pretty winnable for Tron.
Yeah, that's true. Tron just has so many ways to just deal with a ton of creatures at once. If you don't have that Stony Silence or a Selfless Spirit, Oblivion Stone's a beating. Like, what if instead of a Worm Coil engine on that last turn, Kostecka had Oblivion Stone? Kyle was basically dead.
Yeah, 2 copies of Ugin the Spirit Dragon playing as well here.
Do you know how beatable that card is?
Out of a creature deck, it's not.
Not. I guess you can company and try to randomly get it with hitting 2 lords and then casting a lord, and maybe you get it that way. But if we're being realistic, that's
just a finisher.
That's not good enough. But having these ways to just wipe out several cards at once, and Spirit's not having the fastest draws in the world. Like, you're never killing before turn 4-ish, and with Tron on the play, that means you're going to have time to cast Ugin.
Yeah. Looking at the finishers out of Tron, the deck has actually settled into a pretty consistent list recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually not super high. Again, I've already talked about not liking Karn here very much. Worm Coil, not as good as it normally would be. But you do still have a lot of ways to kind of just play one card and close the game out with that one by itself. It's also incredibly streamlined, which is really attractive with this. We looked at the sideboard a second ago. Surgical and Cage are very similar effects, so that's kind of a 3, and the rest of it is just 3, 3, 3, 3. He knows what he's about. The deck has a good amount of card selection. As long as you like your plan and can execute it, the plan is to win.
Finishers here then for Kostecka. 2 Ulamog, 3 Wormcoil Engine, down to just 1 Walking Ballista this weekend.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's a little bit of a meta call. Whenever you see decks like Infect being very popular, having a bunch of Walking Ballistas is nice. But otherwise, you know, we kind of talked about it before with the Amulet match. It's pretty expensive for what it does. So if you're not already getting to those late game situations, having a 2-mana ping something is a little embarrassing. But having the single copy to get with a Sanctum of Ugin is very nice.
Kostecka going down to 5 cards here. Consulted with teammate Brett Cohen on that 6.
Tron is a deck that tends to mulligan pretty aggressively, and you can just win from 3 cards.
Yeah.
What if you have, say, Tower Map and Worm Coil, and you scry a Tron piece to the top?
That can win.
That's busted. Right. It's very good. There are lots of times where your Tron deck has one plan. The plan is good.
Burn's probably not going to beat that hand, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you end up just mulliganing very aggressively to these turn 3 Tron hands because you recognize you don't need a ton of cards. You just need them to work together.
Yeah, one of the things that I like when you look at ramp decks like Scapeshift, historically mulligan very poorly because they need all their cards. But because the current ramp decks in Modern are decks like Tron and Amulet that get lots of mana out of a single card, they actually get to mulligan.
Yes, exactly. That's honestly the biggest reason we've seen Amulet kind of fall out of favor in comparison to those other decks where you'd expect their matchups to be similar, right? They're kind of hard to interact with big mana decks. Exactly. And it's a little hard to interact with lands, but when you have this sort of inherent value coming out of these lands, making multiple mana, casting big things off 2 or 3 cards.
Yeah, it allows you the freedom to sideboard interaction in because your cards will make it back.
Exactly, but you just need a ton of things to execute your Scapeshift combo.
Well, on Kostecka's side, decides the 5-card hand is good enough. It was a scry to the bottom. But, you know, here's the scary part when your Tron opponent mulligans to 5. He starts with 2 different Tron pieces, no plays, says go.
Oh, yeah, that's always horrifying when they just go, all right, Urza's mine, go. Urza's power plant, go. And you just think to yourself, you're kidding.
And you can see it on their face, too. Because, you just look at them, and then you see them in a second, and then you already know, you both know that it's about to happen.
Oh, yeah, you're just like, how nervous do they look? Oh, crap, not at all.
Not at all. Turn 2, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben for Boggemes.
Face. That's a nervous face. Maybe he doesn't have it.
Or he just has Karn.
Nope.
No, it's a second power plant. So he'll have to go for a 2-mana Chromatic Sphere.
Choosing to hold it and not crack it here, because even if you draw the Ancient Stirrings, you couldn't cast it under this Thalia.
Right.
And you've already made your land drop, so just drawing a card here doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, if a Stony Silence shows up, he can always sacrifice it then.
Exactly. Drawing it on end of turn is basically the same thing as drawing it on his turn. This just gives him more options over the course of the next 2 turns.
Kyle's side, a swing and a pass back. No sorcery speed play as he holds up.
It's likely just yeah, probably a Spell Queller. Hopefully not a Rattle Chains. Not a big fan of Rattle Chains.
When we saw a lot of the blue-white Spirits deck, they were high on rail chains. Kyle looks like he's kept one copy in.
Can you imagine? People are registering Welkin turn in this, the year of our Lord 2019.
Welkin turn with Flash.
Neat.
Spatial Contortion from Kostecka. He's going to have to pay a third mana for it. And now that he's paid all three of the mana, Kyle will show that indeed it was Spell Queller.
Yep. And it feels really bad because you want to be able to use your mana efficiently, but things have actually just gotten worse for Kostecka in this exchange because now he's under more pressure. It maybe should have been a situation where Kostecka considered doing it on Boggemes' turn, or if Boggemes tried to get aggressive and flash in the Spell Queller on it.
Yeah, if he had said go, Boggemes may have cast the Spell Queller anyway.
Exactly. If Tron just hits its land drops, it might not even need to assemble Tron if you just play 6 lands. And we're halfway there, and 2 is not going to kill nearly fast enough.
So back to Boggemes we go. He did get the Spatial Contortion, now has 4 power on the table.
The reason that he may have just cast it in that situation or in that spot was to avoid Kyle being able to, or Boggemes rather, being able to collected company into a Spell Queller.
Sure, because a company into one, or simply draw one.
Yeah, the consideration I would have probably looked at is doing it during the upkeep, because then the Spell Queller would have still had Summoning Sickness.
Can't make the land drop yet.
Exactly.
It is Selfless Spirit and Supreme Phantom for Boggemes. Taps out there, but swings in now for 5 thanks to the pump effect from Supreme Phantom. Kostecka down to 13.
The pressure's on, and the Selfless Spirit is eliminating one of Kostecka's best outs in Oblivion Stone. Oblivion Stone, if Kostecka were to say, hit land number 4, cast Oblivion Stone, he just needs to rip a land on the next turn to crack it.
Right.
But now that's not good enough.
He's going to start by cycling through that Chromatic Sphere.
And it looks like Kostecka picked up an Ancient Stirrings here, and that's why we're seeing him go for this green mana now rather than on the previous 2 turns, is he just didn't have a forest to actually cast these spells.
He likely has 2 turns to work with. He's at 13. Right now, Boggemes' side of the board, it has 9 power. Even with a Lord, it only pumps to 12. So from Kostecka's side, it's likely that he can set up. Not a guarantee. A collected company, there are some plays that end the game on the next turn.
Sure, it would take at least 2 cards for the game to literally be over.
And he did find the 3rd Tron piece.
Okay.
What a draw off Chromatic Sphere. We're definitely playing now.
We might have a game on our hands.
See Ugin in his hand? How good is Thalia right now?
Very, actually. We had, access to 8 mana there instead of 9 mana?
Yeah, and exiling, I don't think Indestructible cares so much.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
Now, so Chromatic, I love this. Chromatic Star, and he's going to Nature's Claim the Chromatic Star.
Love it. Love it.
If all you need is to make it to next turn and find a land, this is the best play to get you to that point.
Oh, you even get to cantrip off the star because it's not a sphere?
Star and Sphere, the difference is that Sphere draws when you use it, and Star draws when Star hits the graveyard.
I like Star. It's not picky.
Back to Boggemes we go. Kostecka went up to 17 on that play. His hand is Ugin and 1 other card.
Hard to feel like Boggemes has made much progress with Kostecka back up to 17 at this point. This game's getting pretty rough.
Well, it's all about that Ugin, right? If Kostecka can land one, does Bant Spirits really have a play that stops it?
So you get to attack for 9. Shocking in a Hallowed Fountain here is pretty telling.
Okay. There are one Unified Will and 1 Negate in the sideboard.
We might see a play where Kostecka minuses this Ugin. Boggemes sacks Selfless Spirit, lets the Ugin ability resolve, and then Moorland Haunts.
Right, because that would put up 1 creature in the graveyard.
And you can lord it up, so it's a way to give your deck a little bit of reach, and that's the biggest thing Boggemes is really missing at this point. He's going to get a pretty big chunk in here, but getting those last few points in through Ugin, this is why Ugin's so good. Supreme
Phantom will bump the attack up to 12. That puts Kostecka to 5. Now, Kyle actually tapped the Moorland Haunt. Should correct. Looks like Kostecka at 6.
Just representing that green source.
And here is Ugin, and Kyle does have the negate.
Oh, my.
And leaving up 3 to cast negate through the own Thalia, counters the Ugin. Kyle Boggemes, clutch play there to protect the team, picks up the second win, and with it the match.
We saw when Boggemes chose to tap out in order to apply more pressure the previous turn. Loved it. That's been a theme of the last couple of matches we've been covering, is these blue players with counter magic knowing when they need to put their shields down and actually just work on getting their opponent dead. That is the make or break in these kinds of plays. What if his opponent had just had, 6 or 7 more life in that position? It could have been a very different game because then he gets more draw steps.
Yeah, and not much in the sideboard that can help there. I do want to go back, on a mulligan to 5 Kostecka, that felt like things lining up in more or less the right way. Ugin was the answer on that board.
Yeah, he had to take a turn off because his deck didn't cooperate so much, mold of 5s and all that.
Right.
But he did draw the best card in the matchup.
Right, which is Ugin there, and just has to dodge that negate, which he wasn't able to do.
Yeah, exactly. Boggemes kind of having the perfect mix of the land sources he needs, a good curve with pressure, and then a disruption piece or two in Thalia and negate to just keep him on the back foot just enough.
So the Ann Arbor team at 4-0, they just need one more game win. We're going to see if they can pick it up in the middle seed where Max McVety on Hollow One currently is up 1 game on Brett Cohen. And it is going to be a game 3. It looks like Cohen was able to pick up the sideboarded game.
Am I allowed to boo because it's Tron?
They're down 4-1. They're down... Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay.
And may not matter here. Some handshakes make me think saw a win on Ironworks' side. As I don't know that we're going to get the game 3.
Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica champion Andrew Elenbogen looking like he went ahead and mopped things up there. Right.
Well, we will get the full story on that, as that top match was our time-shifted match. And we're going to get that one set up, so we'll get to be able to catch up on that last game.
I'm really excited to watch that. This means we get to watch the Ironworks deck in double time, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've been watching our time-shifted matches a little faster. I swear, it's just going to look like someone casting